good. Time for convening having arrived. The Senate will come to order. Would ask that unauthorized visitors exit the chamber at this time. The Senate will come to order. Chair recognizes the distinguished senator from the 53rd.
Mr. President, it's a beautiful day and my mic's up, but a moment in history. Some 25 years ago today, the senator from the 7th stuck his finger in the ground and planted his first peanut.
What about the journals?
The rest is history.
Have the journals been read and found to be correct?
Mr. President, the journal's been read and found to be correct. I actually got a laugh a minute ago, so it kind of stunned me.
All right, very good, very good. Well, thank you, Senator, for your good works on the journal. Is there objection with dispensing of the journal? Reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection? Confirmation of journal. Chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. All senators having bills and resolutions to introduce, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions.
Senate Resolution 1175 by Senator Unterman of the 45th, the resolution.
Rules Committee.
Senate Resolution 1177 by Senator Oracle of the 36th, the resolution honoring and
Rules Committee.
Senate Bill 438 by Senator Williams of the 19th, the bill to be entitled an act to repeal the amendment to the Constitution of Georgia. Senate Bill 439 by Senator Black of the 8th, a bill to be entitled an act to provide for a new charter.
Slow go.
Senate Bill 440 by Senator Albers of the 56th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act entitled an act to reincorporate.
Slow go.
Mr. President, that completes the order.
First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions.
House Bill 1106 by Representatives Clark of the 98th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating a new charter for the city of Sugar
Slow
Hill.
go.
House Bill 1117 by Senator Quick of the 117th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the downtown Athens
Slow
development.
go.
House Bill 1118 by Representative Jackson of the 128th, a bill to be entitled an act to provide for the filling of vacancies
Slow
on the
go.
House Bill 1119 by Representatives Petrea of the 166 and others, a bill to be entitled an act to abolish the office of
Slow
elected.
go.
House Bill 1120 by Representative Burns of the 159th, a bill to be entitled an act to authorize the governing authority of the Board of Commissioners of Severn County.
Slow go.
House Bill 1121 by Representatives Pezzle of the 133rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to provide for a new charter for
Slow
the city.
go.
House Bill 1122 by Representatives Rhodes of the 120th, a bill to be entitled an act to create a board of elections and
Slow
registration.
go.
House Bill 1123 by Representatives Blackman of the 146th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act.
Slow go.
House Bill 1124 by Representative Perkle of the 155th, a bill to be entitled
Slow
an act.
go.
House Bill 1125 by Representative Morris of the 156th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to provide a new
Slow
charter.
go.
House Bill 1126 by Representatives Morris of the 156th, a bill to be entitled an act to
Slow
provide.
go.
House Bill 1127 by Representative Morris of the 156th, a bill to be entitled an act to create the city of Vidalia.
Slow go.
House Bill 1128 by Representative Chogas of the 138th, a bill to be entitled an act to reconstitute the Chattahoochee.
Slow go.
Mr. President, that completes the order.
Secretary will read reports of standing committees.
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Finance has had under consideration the following legislation and instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. House Bill 899 do pass by substitute. House Bill 1014 do pass. House Bill 991 do pass. House Bill 769 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted by Senator Hill, the 32nd. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Insurance and Labor has had under consideration the following legislation and instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. House Bill 882 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted by Senator Bethel, the 54th. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Education and Youth has had under consideration the following legislation and instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. House Bill 65 do pass by substitute. House Bill 614 do pass by substitute. House Bill 659 do pass by substitute. House Bill 739 do pass. House Bill 879 do pass. House Bill 895 do pass. House Resolution 394 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted by Senator Tippins of the 37th. Mr. President, the Senate State and Local Governmental Operations Committee has had under consideration the following legislation and instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 241 do pass. Senate Bill 426 do pass. House Bill 786 do pass. House Bill 1049 do pass. House Bill 1050 do pass. House Bill 1051 do pass. House Bill 1053 do pass. House Bill 1093 do pass. House Bill 1109 do pass. Respectfully submitted by Senator Albers of the 56th. Mr. President, Senate Committee on Health and Human Services has had under consideration the following legislation instructing me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. House Bill 229 do pass by substitute. House Bill 825 do pass by substitute. House Bill 853 do pass. House Bill 900 do pass. House Bill 916 do pass. House Bill 920 do pass by substitute. House Bill 1070 do pass by substitute. House Bill 934 do pass. Respectfully submitted by Senator Unterman of the 45th. Mr. President, that completes the reports.
Secretary will read bills for the second time.
Senate Resolution 1019 by Senator McCuna, the 29th, and others, legislative and congressional redistricting, create Senate Study Committee. Senate Resolution 1084 by Senator Vanessa, the 43rd, and others, vacant structures, create Senate Study Committee. House Bill 193 by Representatives Rogers, the 29th, and others, Life Insurance Consumer Disclosure Model Act, enact. House Bill 381 by Representatives Welcher, the 110th, and others, revised Georgia law on notarial acts of 2015, enact. House Bill 499 by Representatives Powell, the 32nd, and others, motor vehicles, non-renewal and non-issuance of driver's licenses for certain reasons, provide. House Bill 513 by Representative Stevens of the 164th, pleading and motions. Procedure for claims asserted against a person or entity arising from an act which could be constructed as an act in furtherance of the right of free speech or right to petition government for redress of grievances, revised provisions. House Bill 745 by Representative Earhart of the 36th. Public property, extend automotive repeals of certain provisions relating to writing off small amounts to the state provisions. House Bill 773 by Representative Houston of the 170th and others. Georgia Housing and Finance Authority, outstanding bond limit increase. House Bill 783 by Representative Broderick of the 4th and others. Controlled substances schedules 1 and 4, change certain provisions. House Bill 943 by Representatives Rogers of the 29th and others. Contracts, additional limitations on duty to different clauses which are void and enforceable in contracts for engineering or architectural services provide. House Bill 1066 by Representatives Powell of the 32nd and others. Penal institutions, additional duties of Commissioner of Corrections, authorize Chief of Staff to issue warrants of an offender who has escaped. House Bill 1073 by Representative Strickland of the 111th and others. Juvenile Code procedure and juvenile courts change provisions. House Resolution 1312 by Representative Sims of the 123rd and others. Houston County, certain property currently dedicated as a heritage preserve, authorize the use of. House Bill 229 by Representative Strickland of the 111th and others, domestic relations, grandparent rights to visitation, intervention, and great-grandparents and siblings of parents, expand. House Bill 614 by Representative Stovall of the 74th and others, Landon Dunson Act, enact. House Bill 659 by Representative Belton of the 112th and others, education, provide transparency of financial institution information of local school systems and schools provisions. House Bill 739 by Representative Tanner of the 9th and others, elementary and secondary education, process for state-approved instructional materials and content is optional, provide. House Bill 769 by Representative Hawkins of the 27th and others, ad valorem tax certain watercraft held for sale or resale, make permanent and exemption. House Bill 825 by Representative Smith of the 25th and others, protecting military children act, enact. House Bill 853 by Representative Hawkins of the 27th and others, Coverdell-Murphy Act, update current system of levels of certified stroke centers to reflect advances in stroke treatments and therapy provisions. House Bill 879 by Representatives Taylor of the 79th and others, elementary and secondary education, sealed by literacy of high school graduates with a high level of proficiency in one or more foreign languages in addition to English, provide. House Bill 882 by Representatives Taylor of the 173rd and others, insurance, foreign and alien insurer deposit requirement of securities eligible for investment of capital funds of certain amounts, eliminate. House Bill 895 by Representatives Mayo of the 84th and others, elementary and secondary education, finance directors of charter schools participate in initial and annual training require. House Bill 899 by Representative Powell of the 171st and others, commerce and trade, tobacco product manufacturers, revise and add certain definitions. House Bill 900 by Representatives Cooper of the 43rd and others, crimes and offenses, electronic database, prescription information, authorize the retention of database information for 2 years. House Bill 916 by Representative Hightower of the 68th and others, the pharmacy audit bill of rights, certain audits conducted by the Department of Community Health, remove exception provisions. House Bill 920 by Representative Kelly of the 16th and others, health, hospitals and related institutions, restrict civil actions against passive investors in nursing homes and intermediate care homes. House Bill 934 by Representative Kirby of the 114th and others, Human Services Department of website providing kinship caregivers with information and access to apply for public assistance benefits, provide. House Bill 991 by Representative Hitchens of the 161st and others, ad valorem tax property, change certain definitions. House Bill 1014 by Representative Powell of the 171st and others, income tax exemption of donation of real property for conservation use, extend sunset date. House Bill 1070 by Representative Dempsey of the 13th and others, domestic relations adoption, permit the department to use certain information in the records concerning the adopted child's biological parents. House Resolution 394 by Representative Nix of the 69th and others, sales and use tax distribution of net proceeds for educational purposes between a county school system and one or more independent school systems, provide. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Time for the morning roll call. Time for the morning roll call. Are there motions to excuse? Motions to excuse. Chair recognizes Senator from the 9th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent that the senator from the 11th be excused for business in the Capitol.
Without objection, Senator from the 11th will be excused. Chair recognizes Senator from the 20th. 20th? Did you have a? Nope. Chair nope. Chair recognizes Senator from the 50th.
Mr. President, I request unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 8th for business outside the chamber.
8th, without objection, Senator from the 8th will be excused. Chair recognizes Senator from the 38th.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to excuse the senators from the 26th and the 39th for business outside of the Capitol.
26th and 39th, without objection, the two will be excused. Are there any other motions to excuse? Any other motions? Senators, please signify your presence by voting the yea switch. The Secretary will unlock the machine. It's now time for the morning devotion. Time for the morning devotion. Would ask all senators, please take your seats and cease all audible conversation at this time. Now time for the morning devotion. Senators, please take your seats. It is now my distinct honor to call upon the distinguished senator from the 51st for the purpose of leading us in our pledge and introducing our chaplain of the day. Senator.
Please stand and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now we'll pledge to the Georgia flag. I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and to the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, moderation. Good morning, Senators. I want you all to be on your best behavior today. My mother's with us. She's over to my right. Mom, you can raise your hand. We also have some guests here. We have members of the Bethlehem Baptist Church in Dahlonega, Georgia, that are here with their preacher, Michael Rogers. So we want to welcome them also in the gallery. Y'all would raise your hand. It's my honor to be here this morning to represent you from North Georgia, but more so to introduce today's pastor of the day. Reverend Michael B. Rogers is pastor of Bethlehem Baptist Church in Dahlonega. He received his B.S. in pastoral ministries from Philadelphia Biblical University in 1985. He then received his Master's of Divinity from Grace Theological Seminary in 1993 in Indiana. He served as pastor of Bethlehem Baptist Church since August of 1997. In addition, he serves as a chaplain of the Lumpkin County Sheriff's Department. Pastor Rogers is a very devoted man of God and to his family. He and his wife, Rochelle, were married in 1980, and the Lord has blessed them abundantly with 4 daughters, 1 son, 2 sons-in-laws, and now 4 granddaughters and 2 grandsons, with 1 grandson on the way. It's my honor to have my friend and preacher Michael Rogers here with us today.
Thank you, Senator, for that introduction. We're very grateful to be here to stand before you this morning to represent my Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ, and to speak truth and have prayer this morning. I want to make one slight little correction to the introduction. I don't have just but 2 sons-in-laws. I have 3, and our third daughter was married 2 years ago, and just now we were given a beautiful baby girl a week and a half ago. Lily is with us, and we're grateful. Our oldest daughter will present to us our third grandson, our 7th grandchild. And we are very delighted and thankful for the many blessings that God has given to us. This morning, I want to focus in on our abundant life that we have in Christ, the abundant life that Jesus provides for us as His saints. And I take my text this morning from the letter that Paul wrote to the Colossian church. And it's in the 3rd chapter, in the first 4 verses that I read. Since ye be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sitteth on the right hand of God. Set your affection on things above, and not on things of the earth. For you are dead, and your life is hid with Christ in God. When Christ, who is our life, shall appear, then shall ye also appear with him in glory. Just a few thoughts about this wonderful little text that Paul has given to the church at Colossae. You know, he talks about this wonderful position or place that we as believers have in Jesus, where our lives are hidden with Christ. It talks about the fact that we're risen with Christ, and if we're risen with Christ, then we have been crucified with Christ. As a matter of fact, Paul says, I am crucified with Christ. Nevertheless I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. And so it seems that all these things that Jesus went through as believers and saints in Christ, we also have those as well. We have a wonderful position as part of the body of Christ. We're risen with him. Our lives are hidden with Christ in God. And it even says, when Christ, who is our life, shall appear, we'll appear with him in glory. What marvelous truth that is. But not only do we have a place or a position in the body of Christ as saints in Christ, but there is also a pursuit, a priority that Paul gives to us. He says for us to set our affections on things above. We ought to desire the Lord. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. So we're called to set our thoughts on things above. He also says that we ought to seek after a godly life. He says here, seek those things which are above. Paul gives us so many wonderful texts that certainly bring that out, while we not look upon the things which are seen, but upon the things which are not seen. The things which are seen are temporal, and the things which aren't seen are eternal. Those are the things that we're supposed to be looking toward in our lives, because we know that since he died for us and rose again, we're called to live for him. But let me just leave you with this as well. At least inferred from the text, we're called to seek and to set as our pursuit as believers in Christ. But what about saturating ourselves in the virtues that for godliness? In other words, saturate ourselves in truth. We want to be men and women and young people of truth, fidelity, integrity, transparency, honesty, truth. And of course, we find our moorings in truth in God's Word. So we need to saturate ourselves in truth, to be authentic men and women, to be authentic public servants and pastors and friends. We need to saturate ourselves not only in truth, but in humility. We need to humble ourselves under the mighty hand of God, and then He'll exalt us up. And as you meet and as we work together, and as I pastor and as you have your meetings, you do that in a humble spirit, and that produces unity amongst ourselves. So we're called to be humble, to be truthful. And then the last virtue that, and I think probably most important of all of them, is love. We're told to be loving, to share and to have loving kindness, to be helpful, to be compassionate, and to be friendly one to another. That's because we experience and have and enjoy and are benefactors of the marvelous, wonderful love that's found in Jesus Christ. Let me close with the words of our Lord in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, and we begin reading in these words: "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. And blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake." Let us pray. Our Father, we thank you for this time in our lives that we can gather together in a quiet moment, and we can put aside all the business of the day, and we can allow your word to speak to our hearts. And we can know, Father, as your saints, as your believing children, that you love us with an everlasting love. And you have provided and given to us all that we'll need to live godly in this present age. Thank you for our Savior, Jesus, who went to the cross for our sin and gave his life that we might live eternally, and verified his messiahship through his glorious resurrection. We celebrate his death and resurrection in a few weeks. And so I would just pray, our Father, that we be mindful of your presence in our lives throughout these weeks that come. Bless this Senate, bless the meetings, Lord, and all those that have business to deal with. May they do it in a spirit of love, humility, and truth. Thank you for this opportunity that you've allowed me, your servant, to come and present truth to these that are gathered here. We pray you would be honored and glorified and pleased from it. And we ask these prayers humbly in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
1 2 3 4 1 2 1 2 1 2 2 2 1 2 2 1 2.
Let me have your attention for just a moment. It's a great honor to always have our doctors of the day, and today the senator from the 2nd is not present. So let me introduce to you Dr. John Sy, who's with us today. He is a doctor of osteopathic medicine, degreed from New York College of Osteopathic Medicine. He also is an assistant professor at the Mercer University College of Medicine, attending physician and secretary of the Georgia Emergency Physician Specialist, and clinically faculty at South University. It's a real honor to welcome our Doctor of the Day. Please join me in giving him a warm welcome to the State Senate.
No, I just want to say thank you for the time and sacrifice that you guys all make away from your family to come down here and represent all the people. I think on behalf of all Emergency physicians, we're very, very honored that you guys are doing this. And I'd also be remiss to not mention that Senators Ben Watson and Lester Jackson are great advocates of the people of Georgia. Thank you for everything you guys do. And this is my little girl, Addison, my oldest child, Addison Sy.
All right.
She came to visit today.
Good. Now, y'all come on back. That's great. Let's do a picture together. All right. Chair recognizes Senator from 36.
Mr. President, I'd ask unanimous consent to withdraw SR 1177 from consideration today. Thank you.
Read the caption.
Senate Resolution 1177 by Senator Orrock of the 36th, the resolution honoring and recognizing the Nagorno-Karabakh Republic and for other purposes.
Is there objection? Without objection, the senator has the right to withdraw SR 1177. Right. We have a very, very special guest that's with us today, and Secretary will read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 1115 by Senators Davenport of the 44th, Fort of the 39th, Tate of the 38th, James of the 35th, Orrock of the 36th, and others, a resolution recognizing Hank and Billy Aaron and celebrating the 755 Restaurant Corporation on the grand occasion of its 20th anniversary and for other purposes. Whereas Hank and Billy Aaron founded the 755 Restaurant Corporation in 1995 with 2 Church's Chicken locations, and it has since grown to include many restaurants. And whereas Mr. Aaron is a retired Major League Baseball player with numerous accomplishments, including being the National League All-Star for 20 seasons, holding the record for most seasons as an All-Star, having the most All-Star game selections with 25, and tying for the most All-Star games played with 24, and winning the Gold Glove Award for 3 seasons, the 1957 National League Most Valuable Player Award when the Milwaukee Braves won the World Series, and the May 1958 and June 1967 National League Player of the Month Awards. And whereas Ms. Billy Aaron was the first African-American woman in the Southeast to co-host a regular daily television talk show, has since become an Atlanta leader in community service and philanthropy, focusing on providing educational opportunities to African Americans, and is a trustee at Morehouse College. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body join in recognizing Hank and Billy Aaron for their selfless contributions to the state of Georgia and celebrate the 755 Restaurant Corporation on the grand occasion of its 20th anniversary. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. We are very, very honored to have Hank, along with his wife Billy, present with us. The many years that he obviously gave us of happiness and joy watching him, but the tradition and the legacy still lives. And so it's a great honor to have a legend with us today. And to speak to the resolution, I call upon the senator from the 44th.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Colleagues, I am so honored to have my friends, Mr. Henry Hank Aaron and his beautiful wife, Mrs. Billy Suba Aaron, here today in the Senate chambers as we honor them with a resolution celebrating 20 years of the 755 Restaurant Corporation. Hank and Billy Aaron founded 755 Restaurant Corporation in 1995 with 2 Church's Chicken locations. And today, the corporation includes 24 Popeyes and 2 Krispy Kremes and over 800 employees. Both of them have impacted the Atlanta community with their talents and generosity and their service. Hank Aaron made his mark on the Atlanta community and solidified his place in American history with his record-breaking baseball career. Since then, he and his wife, Billy, have become pillars in the Atlanta business and philanthropic communities. Mrs. Billy Aaron was the first African-American woman in the Southeast to co-host a regular daily television talk show. She founded the UNCF Males Mass Ball as she served as Regional Vice President of the United Negro College Fund, hosting the Atlanta portion yearly of the Lou Ross Parades of Stars Telethon. She and her husband founded the Hank Aaron Chasing the Dream Foundation to develop and nurture young people. She is a trustee with Morehouse College and just made a generous financial contribution of $3 million to the Morehouse School of Medicine. Mr. Henry Hank Aaron is a retired American Major League Baseball player who broke baseball Babe Ruth's record of home runs. He was a Gold Globe winner, Most Valuable Player in a World Series, and inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1982. He was the last Negro League player to enter the majors, and then had 755 career home runs, 3,771 hits, and played 3,298 games, 24 All-Star Game appearances, and one of the first African Americans to work in baseball management. On January the 8th, 2001, Mr. Aaron was presented the Presidential Citizens Medal by President Bill Clinton. He received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor, from President George W. Bush in June 2002. He was named 2010 Georgia Trustee by the Georgia Historical Society. For his 80th birthday a few years ago, he was honored at the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C., where his portrait hangs. Of all these accolades and high honor, Mr. Aaron still remains very humble and has always been the same over the years. He and Billy have made children and youth their top priority. He is a wonderful husband, father, and grandfather, a great businessman and humanitarian, but more importantly, a man of great character and dignity, a Christian man who loves God, his family, and fellow man. You know I'm overjoyed today. But Senators, I present Mrs. Billy Suba Aaron and Home Run King, Mr. Henry Hammering Hank Aaron.
We've got it.
Thank you very much. As you notice, I moved a little faster about 20 years ago. I am delighted to be here this morning, really, and to share the podium with my lovely wife of some 40 years. So I am extremely proud to be among you who set so many records, and you talk about the records, the home run that I hit. I remember just the other day, Gail, I was talking to my wife, and she said, if you'd have hit one more home run, you wouldn't be walking like that. You'd be walking a little faster. But I just want to say that in spite of all the home runs I hit, you are the one that sets the pace. I really appreciate all of you guys very much, what you do, what you go through, and what you are called upon to do from people like myself and my wife. We feel so honored, Gail, to be part of this morning. This is wonderful. I just wish that I could stay here a long time, because I see it on television, but I don't realize the hard work that you do. I just want to say I certainly appreciate that, and I appreciate my wife being here with me. Thank you so very, very much, and may God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.
Let me add my words of appreciation to each of you for what you do for the state of Georgia, for the city of Atlanta, and for all over. Thank you. It is a pleasure to be here with you this morning. I think I should also thank the Lieutenant Governor. Did I see?
Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you so very much for this honor, and thank you for the continuing service that you provide for all of us, to all of us, and in behalf of all of us. Thank you so very much.
Lieutenant Governor is coming down here.
Sure.
There you go.
Come on in here.
Secretary will read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 1080 by Senators James of the 35th, Rhett of the 33rd, Davenport of the 44th, Henson of the 41st, Tate of the 38th, and others. A resolution commending Reese Odom, Blue Kimball, Angel Taryn, Ty Manns, and Jeff Searcy on their powerful and inspiring movie The Wish, and recognizing Lifelink of Georgia and for other purposes. Whereas The Wish, a faith-based film about a beloved high school teacher's kidney failure and her struggles as she awaits a kidney transplant needed to save her life. And whereas more than 5,100 Georgians are in need of an organ transplant, over 4,600 of those individuals are awaiting a kidney transplant, and 62% of those awaiting a kidney transplant are African Americans because diseases resulting in kidney failure are more prevalent in the African American community than other populations. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend Reese Odom, Blue Kimball, Angel Taryn, Ty Manns, and Jeff Searcy on their powerful and inspiring movie The Wish and recognize Lifelink of Georgia for its efforts to educate the community about organ and tissue donation. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair is none. The resolution is adopted. It's a great honor to welcome our special guest, and to do so, I call upon the distinguished senator from the 35th.
Thank you, Mr. President. The movie The Wish was something that was very close to my heart. The Wish was a Donate Life American film. It was a story of hope and faith, generosity, and it was starring some of our great people from the 35th District, Reese Odom, a rising star, and actor Blue Kimball. And when I was invited to go to it, I had ambivalent feeling because, as some of you know, many years ago, my son left home to go to the store for my husband, and a 5-time DUI offender crashed into him and took his life. And he ended up being a donor. He was so healthy and beautiful that he was a donor of many organs, including his eyes and tissue and everything. And then who would think that a few years later, my husband would be diagnosed with kidney failure and would need to get on the donation list. My husband, Elmo, was on the donation list for 7 years because we don't donate our organs. I had a conversation with my son before his demise, and he was showing me just weeks before he had the terrible crash, his new driver's license. And I said, "Oh, good, that's a nice picture." He said, "No, look at it, Mom." And then I looked at it and I said, "Oh, what do you want me to look at?" He said, I'm a donator of my organs if something happens to me. Are you going to be one?" And I said, "I don't know. I'd have to think about that." And he said, "Why, Mom? Why would you think about it? You won't be here and somebody else can benefit." And just a few weeks later, 8 people benefited. And it's still, all 7 of them are still alive as a result of Kerry Allen James giving his donation. Unfortunately, my husband did not ever get the kidney, and he went to heaven last year. So I urge all of you to think about giving your organs if something happens to you. Also, I want to thank Donate Life. I want to thank the movie, The Wish, actress Reese Odom, actor Blue Kimball, and Reese is here. You want to come up, Reese? Bobby Howard is here from Lifelink of Georgia. Blue Kimball is here as well. Ty Manis, the writer and director. Jeff Surrey, the producer. And I want to recognize Reese's parents who are over here, who go to my church, Most Blessed Sacrament, and live in the 35th District. Mr. and Mrs. Thomas Odom, and your nephew Thomas is here too, the little young man. There you are, taking pictures already. Thank you, and I would like to offer this resolution to you, and I'm truly honored. Thank you. Thank you. Lisa.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank Senator James for this awesome honor that she has bestowed upon myself and the cast and crew of The Wish, and thank Mr. President, Lieutenant Governor, the Senate members. Just this amazing honor means more to us than you know. The Wish was actually filmed here in Georgia with the intent to educate, encourage, and inspire more new organ donors and tissue donors to register to be donors if something should happen. Oh, wonderful. We never intended, well, we never thought that this film would actually touch as many hearts as it did. We hoped, and thankfully it did. And every screening that we have, we sign up new donors for the list. And we are thankful for you recognizing us all here, and we just want to say thank you. So, as an actress, this is an amazing honor to have, aside from, Oscars and Emmys, to have something like this. It's just amazing. And I want to thank my parents and my nephew for being here. And just keep doing everything that you do for the state of Georgia and the city of Atlanta. We appreciate you.
Well done. Well said. You did good.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Bobby Howard, and I am the director of the Multicultural Program for LifeLink of Georgia. And I just wanted to thank Senator James and Lieutenant Governor. On behalf of LifeLink of Georgia, we are so pleased and proud to be honored here today. But as it's been stated several times already, please consider to become an organ and tissue donor. Currently, there are over 5,500 people in the state of Georgia waiting for life-saving transplants. And it simply said, if we sit by and do nothing, 0 lives will be saved. So this film was very helpful, and it continues to be very helpful to help educate the people of Georgia on how important organ and tissue donation is. Once again, thank you guys so much for all that you do for this state. Thank you for encouraging us, and thank you for keeping us safe. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I just want to say quickly, thank you for this opportunity, Senator. Sir, thank you very much for having us. We look forward to being back in the state of Georgia, shooting again. We'd like to thank the city of Columbus, Georgia, for allowing us to come there and shoot, and we look forward to being in Smyrna this summer, shooting our next film, where we'll be addressing another important social awareness topic, and that's domestic violence and teenage suicide. God bless all of you. Please go out and be a donor.
And I'm happy to present, I'm honored to present this resolution, this official resolution to you, and copies to all of you. Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you.
And thank you. Thank you. Y'all are awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'm coming. Parents can come in too. Come on, parents.
It's a once in a lifetime.
Secretary will read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 712 by Senators Beach of the 21st, Mullis of the 53rd, Miller of the 40th, Miller of the 49th, Gooch of the 51st, and others, a resolution recognizing March 16th, 2016 as Council for Quality Growth Day at the state capitol and for other purposes. Whereas the Council for Quality Growth is a 31-year-old nonprofit trade association representing the growth and development industry with the mission of promoting balanced and responsible growth in Metro Atlanta and Georgia. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize March 16, 2016 as Council for Quality Growth Day at the state capitol and commend the Council for Quality Growth for its efforts in promoting economic growth in the state of Georgia. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. The Council for Quality Growth has done so many wonderful things for our great state, great advocates, as well as the four-pillar tribute that they put on each year as well, recognizing so many of the great contributions that individuals make. It's a great honor to welcome them to the State Senate today, honor them as well, and to do so, it's my distinct privilege to ask the Senator from the 21st to come forward now at this time.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'm joined up here by the Senator from the 53rd, and we're here to honor the Council on Quality Growth, and as the Lieutenant Governor said, they've done some great work for 31 years. They're the one entity that can bring the business community together, the citizens, the local elected officials, and the development community to make sure we have balanced and quality development here in the metro region and the state of Georgia. And it's one of the reasons we're the #1 state to do business in the United States is because of their hard work. And I want want to thank Michael Paris and James Touchstone for their hard work. And at this time, I would like to ask Scott Seelig, who's the Vice Chairman, to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Senator Beach, Lieutenant Governor, Mr. Cagle. It's truly an honor on behalf of myself and the many members who comprise the Council of Quality Growth to be here and to receive this special recognition. We work very hard to make this great state better throughout the city in the many different regions, and we appreciate very much a partnership and the ability to work with all of you and to be your backbone and support in what you do, calling on the vast knowledge of our many members to help in these issues. So once again, we're very honored for this resolution, and we thank you very much for all you do.
He's got a future.
They gave me 2 minutes
Yeah.
Let's come down and do a picture.
Secretary will read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 947 by Senators McCoon of the 29th, Bethel of the 54th, Stone of the 23rd, and Ligon Jr. of the 3rd, a resolution commending the Georgia Association of Paralegals for its leadership and congratulating it on its 3 National Federation of Paralegal Association Awards and for other purposes. Whereas the Georgia Association of Paralegals was founded in 1973 as the Atlanta Association of Legal Assistants, Inc. And whereas the organization's purpose is to enhance the role of paralegals in the legal profession and to improve the working conditions of paralegals. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend the Georgia Association of Paralegals and congratulate it on its many accolades. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none. The resolution is adopted. We appreciate so much also the paralegals of our state and the great work that they do. I'm sure that they work tirelessly in the office of the Senator from the 29th to make him look really good. And they are not compensated to the degree in which they should be. But it's a great honor to have them here today and to recognize the wonderful Georgia paralegals that we do have. I recognize the Senator from the 29th.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to recognize this wonderful profession, and he's absolutely right. Those of us in the legal profession could not do our job without good professional paralegals. We have with us today Suzette Corley, Angela Caruso, Melissa Pimbleton, and Melody Cox. I appreciate them coming to the Capitol today to represent their profession, and I'll call upon Ms. Corley to speak to the resolution.
Good morning. Thank you. And on behalf of Georgia Association of Paralegals, commonly known as GAP, we would like to thank Senator McCoon and also all of you for sponsoring our resolution. GAP has been in existence for over 40 years. We continue to strive to further the paralegal profession by providing continuing legal education, knowledge sharing, and also community service opportunities for our paralegal, predominantly in the legal community, and also pro bono opportunities to help our community as well. Thank you, Senators, for recognizing the achievements of our paralegals this year. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 2nd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of this esteemed body, today we recognize Falcons Day at the state capitol. The Falcons is an organization of young men started 60 years ago. Today, we recognize their 60 year of history of community service. They are a social organization with a mandate of social service to this community. With us today is Malcolm Thomas Sr., the last remaining charter member of the Falcons Club. Mr. Thomas is a veteran of the Navy. He is a former educator, former principal, former business person, all-around good guy. Today, we recognize Falcons Day at the Capitol with this last remaining member, Mr. Malcolm, with the last remaining charter member, Mr. Malcolm Thomas. Mr. Malcolm Thomas, thank you for your service, sir. Thank you for what you do for this great state. He's been awarded today as one of Georgia's outstanding Georgia citizens. So, Mr. Thomas, thank you for your good work. Mr. President. Well.
Thank you very much, Senator. Secretary will read a resolution.
Senate Resolutions 1114, 1155, 1156, 1157, and 1158 by Senator Butler of the 55th, a resolution recognizing and commending the Richmond County Child Fatality Review Committee, 2015 Child Fatality Review Committee of the Year, Northern Circuit, Mark Alcaraz, the 2015 Child Fatality Review Coroner of the Year, Dr. Laura Darashaw, the Cherokee Circuit Child Fatality Review Committee, on receiving the 2015 Child Fatality Review Prevention Team Award, and for other purposes. Whereas it is abundantly fitting and proper for this body to recognize and commend the 21 outstanding accomplishments of this extraordinary committee. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize the Richmond County Child Fatality Review Committee for the 2014 Child Fatality Review Prevention Team Award, the Northern Circuit Child Fatality Review Committee of the Year for 2015, Mark Alcaraz, the 2015 Child Fatality Review Coroner of the Year, Dr. Laura Darashaw, the 2014 Child Fatality Review Medical Examiner of the Year, the Cherokee Circuit Child Fatality Review Committee on receiving the 2015 Child Fatality Review Prevention Team Award, and commend its members for their outstanding service to this community and this state. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair is none. The resolution is adopted. We appreciate so much the great work that this committee does on behalf of our children. And to speak to the resolution and recognize our very special guest, I call upon the distinguished senator from the 55th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. It's my pleasure once again to present our fabulous teams from across the state with the resolution. The mission of the Georgia Child Fatality Review Panel is to provide the highest quality child fatality data, training, technical assistance, investigative support services, and resources to any entity dedicated to the well-being and safety of children in order to prevent and reduce incidents of child abuse and child fatality in the state. This mission is accomplished by promoting more accurate identification and reporting of child fatalities, evaluating the prevalence and circumstances of both child abuse and child fatalities, and also developing and monitoring the statewide child injury prevention plan. Now, each year I get to present these awards because I serve on the Child Fatality Review Panel, and I was appointed by the governor. The Child Fatality Review Medical Examiner of the Year for 2014 is Dr. Laura Darashaw. She joined the GBI Medical Examiner's Office as an associate medical examiner in 2002, and she is currently the Director of Pediatric Forensic Pathology at the GBI. She specializes in pediatric pathology and the evaluation of fatal and non-fatal pediatric injury as of a few pediatric pathologists in the country,
Dr. Dara Shaw is a leader in her field and an incredible asset to our state CFR program. She's also Director of Sudden Unexpected Infant Death Investigations. And accepting her award will be Dr. Dara Shaw. And I would do each award at the end of my presentation. Our Child Fatality Review Coroner of the Year for 2015 is Mark Alcarez. He joined the Douglas County Coroner's Office in January 2013, and in March 2015, he was made Chief Deputy Coroner. He is certified through the Georgia Public Safety Training Center and has completed courses in drug trends, child death prevention, child abuse and neglect, sleep-related death investigation, and annual Child Fatality Review Committee training. He currently serves on the Committee for County Sleep-Related Deaths Awareness, which educates the community. He has been involved with the community as a youth minister for 14 years and a youth baseball coach for 12 years. Accepting his award will be himself, of course. And then Richmond County, the 2014 CFR Committee of the Year. They are recognized for their work with Safe Kids of Augusta. They hold classes twice a month taught by pediatric nurses, and participants receive portable pack and play, a sleep pack, pacifier, and other items for safety's sake. They also host healthcare personnel and high school students for expectant mothers. Accepting on Richmond County behalf will be Trebor Randall. She's a special agent in charge for GBI Child Fatality Review Panel. The Northern Circuit 2015 CFR Committee of the Year, which includes Madison County, Franklin, Hart, Elbert, and Oglethorpe. The members are particularly engaged and take pride in their responsibilities. Various members speak at community events, especially regarding safe sleep or co-sleeping and the dangers of co-sleeping. And accepting that award will be Mr. Parks White. He's the DA for the Northern Circuit. The 2015 Team Prevention Award goes to Cherokee Circuit CFR Committee under the leadership of Sharon Fox, the Gordon and Bartow CFR teams. In an effort to reduce children's death and injury, they provide outreach and education to residents of the Cherokee Judicial Circuit. Great emphasis is placed on sleep-related infant deaths, and accepting that award will be Sharon Fox. That was a lot to say. So please help me congratulate all of the awardees from around this state who take care of prevention for our children and complete and put together data when we do have sleep-related deaths and children's deaths. To speak for the group, we'll have Trebor Randall from GBI, Special Agent in Charge.
We would like to again thank Senator Butler and those other members for this resolution. Just a small way of saying thank you to some of those that you see here today. Also, as the special agent in charge of the Child Fatality Review Unit, who coordinates all of the reviews for the state, we wanted to also say thank you on behalf of our director, GBI Director Vernon Keenan, to not only congratulate the individuals, but to thank them for the work that they do daily on behalf of Georgia's children. For those who do not know, the group standing behind me and also some of their staff members and family members and some of our staff that are in the gallery today, Basically, they're responsible for investigating, reviewing, and also autopsying children who die in the state of Georgia, to the tune of over 500 children that we're responsible for reviewing the deaths annually. And that's no small feat. In an effort to prevent the deaths in the future, that is largely in part why we do this, to learn why our children die in Georgia and why they're dying at an alarming rate compared to some of the states around us. So again, we want to congratulate them. Those of you here, many of you who've had a chance to protect Georgia's children are to be commended as well. So if I would have the staff of Child Fatality Review and also many of the team members and family members on behalf of the group behind me to stand, I would like to congratulate you as well. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thanks to the other legislators that came up to stand with them.
Secretary will read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 1146 by Senator Schaefer, the 48th, the resolution recognizing and commending Stephanie Moody, chairman of the Atlanta Fulton Public Library System Board of Trustees, on the occasion of her retirement from the board and for other purposes. Whereas Chairman Stephanie Moody has diligently and conscientiously devoted her time, talents, and energy since 2001 to serve on the Atlanta Fulton Public Library System Board of Trustees as a committee chairman and vice chairman. And whereas Chairman Stephanie Moody's library leadership will be sorely missed by library friends and colleagues alike, and her integrity, class, and influence on the future of library services will be high and possible to replicate for many years. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize Stephanie Moody, chairman of the Atlanta Fulton Public Library System Board of Trustees, commend her for her selfless volunteer service to the state of Georgia and Fulton County, and extend to her sincere best wishes for a happy and healthy retirement. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair is none. The resolution is adopted. When I saw this morning that this resolution was on the calendar for consideration, I was just really thankful that it wasn't Dan that we were, awarding. So probably would have been objection, but obviously Dan has a much, much better half and a beautiful, wonderful lady, and they are surrounded not only by their children, but their grandchildren, a wonderful family. It's a great honor today to recognize them, and to do so, I call upon the distinguished President Pro Tem, the Senator from the 48th.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, it's my privilege to present Senate Resolution 1146, recognizing a special friend of mine who has given 15 years of her life in service to the citizens of Fulton County as a member of the Atlanta Fulton County Library Board of Trustees, most recently as the chairman. Many of us served with her husband, Dan Moody, who represented the 56th District in this chamber for 8 years. The public service of Stephanie Moody began a year earlier than her husband's election to the state Senate. She was appointed to the library board in 2001. She is a tireless champion for the cause of literacy and the important role played by public libraries. In her time on the board, she helped pass a $275 million library bond to improve and modernize Fulton County's libraries. And as chairman, she has been a wonderful steward of our tax dollars. Her public service has not been limited to the library board. She was president of our homeowners association, president of the PTSA, vice president of the Johns Creek Community Association, and a member of the Johns Creek Beautification Board. Please give a warm welcome to my friend and a great public servant, the Honorable Stephanie Moody.
Thank you, President Pro Tem, for those kind words and for taking the time to honor me today. I'm very thankful I live in Senator Schaefer's district, and I'm proud to have him represent me at the Capitol. It's great to be here today with you, with the Lieutenant Governor, and to see so many familiar faces from when my husband served in the Senate. If I can ever be of assistance to any of you on library issues in your districts, please let me know, because I am always glad to talk about the future of libraries and the importance of literacy in our state. Senators, Governor Cagle, thank you for honoring me today. It's my thanks to you for serving this state, and I really appreciate this moment.
Hear, hear.
Having another special group we would like to recognize. It's a great honor to have all the good folks here with our St. Patrick's Day Committee. Secretary will read a resolution. We don't have a, okay, good. It is always a great honor when we have the St. Patrick's Day Committee, the parade committee that's present with us. All of us enjoy so much the great festivities that go on in the Savannah region, and it's a great honor for me to recognize the senator from the 1st to speak to the special delegation we have today.
Thank you, Mr. President. It certainly is an honor to have the St. Patrick's Day Parade Committee here today. Our Grand Marshal, Michael Foran, has been the chairman of the parade in the past, and he is now the Grand Marshal for the 192nd parade in Savannah for St. Patrick's Day coming up here in just a few days, March 17th. Michael was born a native Savannian in July 17, 1958. He was a Savannah bar pilot for over 30 years until he retired. Mike has a proud Irish heritage that traces his roots back to, get this, the county of Limerick, Kerry, and Cork. So his heritage goes way back. But I tell you, his heritage is all about family. He has two of his family members here today, Mike Jr., JoJo, and Brianna. He has 7 children that he's very proud of. Without further ado, our Grand Marshal for the St. Patrick's Day Committee is Michael Foran.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you. Yes, sir. I met the governor when I guess he decided to get in politics, and he was strolling through Chippewa Square one St. Patrick's Day many, many years ago with a good friend of mine, Henry Montsees, who y'all probably see up here politicking for the liquor establishments. But anyway, it's an honor to be here. I'd like to name off some aides that I didn't get to into the House. I'll start over here with Dennis Coonahan, Rob Creech. My son JoJo is supposed to be the youngest aide in the history of the 200-year parade. My other son Michael Jr., Marty Hogan. Marty's son is also with us. Colin, Patrick Beatty, Bo Cabell, and I miss anybody? Ashley Norris, George Beckett, Langland Cooper. I want to thank y'all for having us here. And the governor told me a little while ago while I was waiting outside, we were talking, and he said that he was going to shut down the Senate Thursday for St. Patrick's Day and let all y'all come to Savannah and enjoy our parade, our culture and our heritage. So I hope I'm going to hold you to your word now. Are you sure? All right, I'd like to close with a prayer for St. Patrick, which I think would be very nice, and it'll just be a short one. May the strength of God pilot us. May the power of God preserve us. May the wisdom of God instruct us. May the hand of God protect us. May the way of God direct us. May the shield of God defend us against the snares of the evil ones, against the temptations of the world. May Christ be with us. May Christ be before us. May Christ be in us. Christ be all over us. May our salvation, Lord, always be yours this day, O Lord, and evermore, to Ireland, the Irish, and the United States of America. Thank you very much, Governor. And I would be remiss if I didn't recognize my two senators, Ben Washington and Senator Jackson, and thank you so much.
All right, very good. Well done, well done. Let's get a picture down here. Are there any senator? Chair recognizes Senator from the 47th. 47.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, I wouldn't do this normally, but one of the things that I'm very fortunate, y'all can tell there's no blood kin between me and my niece, Bailey Tardy. Said my colleagues over in the House were doing an honoring resolution for her earlier today. Said, but I wanted to brag on my niece. Said one of the things that you know, to be in the Senate's a pretty exclusive club. you're 56 members across the state. I want you to think what kind of club that Bailey Tardy has gotten into. Said she is one of 8 U.S. citizens that will be playing in the Curtis Cup this coming June over in Ireland. Quite honestly, I'm gonna tell a few statistics about Bailey. Said one of the things that Bailey has been named a 3-time member of the American Junior Golf Association Rolex All-American team. She's qualified in 2014 for the U.S. Open. Now you got to remember, Bailey is 19 years old. So in 2014, 2 years ago, she qualified for the U.S. Open. Said she reached the 3rd round in match play in the U.S. Women's Am. Said she is 7th out of all the world in amateur golf. I'm pretty fortunate to have a great niece that's a great golfer. Now, I do have one of my brothers, who's about a 3 handicap, likes to tell Bailey, he says, Bailey, you know, the last time we played, I beat you. She was 9. Said I'm going to tell you, said one of the things that and I'm going to pick on Nick over here, one of our senator from the 53rd, said got to play with her up in East Denali, Georgia, and senator from the 50th district. Said I think Bailey won. Said Nick's still hurting on his pride, but he'll do okay. But I have with me today Bailey's parents, Bob and Kim Tardy. I'd like to recognize them. Said and Bailey Tardy, and Bailey, it is an honor to have you over in the Senate today and have you as one of our special guests here at the Georgia Senate.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Chair recognizes Senator on the 35th. Let's try to move our points of personal privilege up. We have had an extended day of recognitions. If y'all do want to just recognize people all day, that'll be fine. If you want to pass some bills, then we obviously want to move things along.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The Stewart Mill was here today. They have been in the gallery most of the morning, but now they've gone downstairs to take pictures. So I just wanted to give them a welcome from the State Senate. And today is the 100 Women of Faith Day. We have it every year. It's a tea party where women of faith, mostly ministers of the gospel, come together and pray. And so when you see us wearing our hats, you'll know we're here for our tea party with our gloves. And guess what? Men are invited too. I have a lot of food. Can you take, Andrew? I don't wear a hat, but every now and then, okay? But please, we have a lot of food, so please come down and have tea and crumpets and sandwiches with us at 1 o'clock. We will be on the south side, and then in room 216, we will have food. So join the women of faith. They will be praying for all of us. God bless you. Thank you, Mr. President, and I yield the well. And if you want to borrow my hat, you can.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 29th on a point of personal privilege. 29th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will be brief. I just wanted to make members of the Senate aware that today is the deadline for the Federal Department of State to make a determination about whether or not the acts that have been committed by the Islamic State against the Christian minority in Syria and Iraq constitutes genocide. I want to thank the senator from the 42nd for the resolution she offered earlier this year, which certainly did identify the acts that have been committed, the heinous acts, the executions, sex crimes, the whole just parade of horribles that have occurred to people of minority faiths, particularly Christians, in Iraq and Syria. It's certainly my intention to send a letter today to the State Department referencing the report that was issued last week by the Knights of Columbus in conjunction with the International Association of Genocide Scholars. For those of you who are interested in learning more about the report or to read a full copy of the report, you can go to stopthechristiangenocide.org. But I hope that everyone will take the opportunity today to join me in contacting the Department of State and asking Secretary Kerry to designate this officially as acts of genocide against the Christian minority in Iraq and Syria. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
Thank you, Senator. There is a consent calendar of privileged resolutions that is before you. Is there objection? Without objection, the consent calendar of privileged resolutions are therefore adopted. Now there is the local consent calendar. Are there any motions to withdraw or commit? Mr. Secretary, are there any filed objections on any of the local bills?
Mr. President, there are no objections filed in the Secretary's office.
Is there objection agreeing the report of state and local governmental operations, which is fair, will pass the bill? Chair is none. Report of committee is agreed to. All those in favor of the local consent calendar will vote aye. Those opposed, no. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the local consent calendar, the yeas are 50, the nays are 1, and all the bills on the local consent calendar are therefore adopted. Secretary will read House Bill 768. Nope.
House Bill 768 by Representatives Hawkins of the 27th and others, a bill to be entitled and act to amend Title 30 of the OCGA relating to disabled persons so as to provide for the establishment of a qualified ABLE program in this state to enable the contribution of funds to tax-exempt accounts to pay for the qualified expenses of eligible individuals with disabilities, to amend Code Section 48-7-27 of the OCGA relating to taxable net income, to amend Code Section 50-13-2 of the OCGA relating to the definitions for purposes of the Georgia Administrative Procedure Act so as to exclude the Georgia ABLE Program Corporation from the meaning of agency and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Finance recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted by Senator Hill, the 32nd.
So a fiscal note has been filed.
Mr. President, a fiscal note has been filed.
Amendment number 1.
Mr. President, Senator Miller, the 40th, offers the following amendment number 1 to House Bill 768 by inserting on lines 383 after the words administrative services the following: the Board of Regents of the University System of Georgia. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 40th present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, a lot of times we present bills down here that some think there's a little bit silly. For example, daylight savings time, I tried to do a couple years ago. Today, I think we've got a bill that everybody can feel really good about, and that's the ABLE Act, the Achieving a Better Life Experience Act. And what this bill does is allow people with disabilities to set up savings accounts without losing their eligibility for Social Security or Medicaid. Otherwise, they'd be limited to like a $2,000 limit if they didn't have this. The only criteria is that you have to have the disability. It has to onset before the age of 26. And the people can then use these accounts for qualified expenses such as employment, training, support, education, technologies, personal support, health and wellness, housing, transportation, education, financial management, legal fees, etc. The individual is only allowed to have one particular account. Contributions, which are after-tax dollars, are limited to $14,000 for a given year. And once an account reaches $100,000 value, then the people's Social Security benefits are frozen. If it goes down below that value, they resume. You can actually apply, I'll get up to $235,000 in one of these accounts. And when the money is taken out of the account for these various expenses, it's taxed. There's no tax paid on it. It's tax-free, much like your 529 plans for colleges. And then at the time of the account holder's death, Medicaid can be reimbursed for any expenses they do. You know, the ABLE Coalition consists of a lot of groups, all about developmental disabilities, the Georgia Council. I'd particularly like to thank Representative Scott Turner, who probably initiated this, Representative Lee Hawkins. We don't do this very often, but I'd also like to thank a particular lobbyist in the hall, Elizabeth Apley. I don't know anyone that shows more compassion or caring for a particular group of individuals than Elizabeth. Now, she may drive you nuts on a given day, but I wish we all had that much passion for the things we really believe in. There is one amendment on the bill, because what happens here, we've got the Georgia Administrative Procedures Act so that ABLE accounts are not considered an agency, and we've got to add the word Board of Regents at the end of the bill. We've already added the technical colleges. Inadvertently it was left off, so we're just adding that by amendment. And I hope everyone can support this bill. I think it's a good thing we're doing for people here in Georgia. It's estimated that I think we could have as many as 65,000 people be involved in this. The cost of the state is minimal, and I ask for your favorable consideration. And if there's no questions, I'll yield well.
There are no questions.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 56 for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief because we have a big calendar today. I want to thank the senator from the 40th for all his hard work and just remind everyone here that sometimes we use the word disability by accident. The folks who we're helping here do not have a disability. We do. They have a special need and a special gift, and if we were to see life through their lens, it would be a much better place. This will help out many of the groups that I get to serve on, such as an ABLE of Georgia and the Tony Nobis Foundation and so many others that are out there. So I hope today we light this board up green and show all of those with a special need and a special gift in Georgia that we're here to support them now and forever. Thank you. I yield the will.
Is there objection to the adoption of the floor amendment? Without objection, the floor amendment is therefore adopted. Now, does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection agreed on the Port of Committee which fair will pass the bill? Chair is none. Port of Committee is agreed to. Shall the main question be now put? Are there any objections? Chair is none. Main question is ordered. Shall this bill now pass? It's amended. Questions on the passage of the bill is amended. All those in favor vote aye. Those opposed no. Secretary like a machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 53 and the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Secretary will read House Bill 871.
House Bill 871 by Representatives Dickey of the 140th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 10-1-791 of the OCGA relating to consumer fees collected to implement Article 28 of Chapter 1 of Title 10 of the Georgia Lemon Law so as to require consumer fees to be forwarded to the Department of Law for deposit in the new motor vehicle arbitration account, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Special Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass, respectfully submitted by Senator Thompson of the 5th. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 30th. Thank you for waiting patiently at your desk to be recognized like a good senator.
Never felt more like a golden retriever than I do right now. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. All this bill is it's a cleanup from Senate Bill 148 that we passed last year. When we moved the consumer protection from the officer of the governor to the Department of Law, we didn't move the fee collection along with it. All this is doing is, instead of having those two adjustments during the budget cycle, we just put them back together. Subject to your questions.
No questions, Senator.
Yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is the objection agreed, the Porter Committee which fail pass the bill? Chairs none, Porter Committee is agreed to. Shall the main question be now put? Are there any objections? Chairs none, main question is ordered. Shall this bill now pass? Questions on the pass of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed, no. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 52, the nays are 2, and this bill, AMC Rex Constitutional Majority, is therefore adopted. Secretary will read House Bill 725.
House Bill 725 by Representatives Cantrell, the 22nd, and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 5 of Title 49 of the OCGA relating to child abuse and deprivation records so as to provide for greater confidentiality of child abuse records, to provide for and revise definitions, to change provisions relating to persons and agencies permitted access to records of child abuse, to provide for contents of a protective order, to provide for immunity for child advocacy centers and releasing child abuse records under certain circumstances, to provide for a short title, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Health and Human Services recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted by Senator Unterman of the 45th. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes the distinguished senator from the 54th, the Insurance Committee Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, I bring to you House Bill 725, which has been styled the Child Abuse Records Protection Act. The bill takes existing law and essentially does two things. One, it clarifies and extends the coverage related to our child advocacy centers in Georgia. And the second is it clarifies or imposes a court barrier before adults can misuse records related to child abuse. We recognize the importance of protecting information associated with that. These centers across Georgia conduct forensic interviews in safe places, in appropriate settings, and we want to make sure that those records are protected from public disclosure, protected from adults using them inappropriately, and so it imposes an in-camera review with a Superior Court judge before those records are released and they can be subject to a protective order. Mr. President, I would yield for questions. If there are none, I ask favorable consideration and yield the well.
No further questions, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection? Agree to report to committee which fail to pass the bill. Chair is none. Report to committee is agreed to. All those in favor of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed, no. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 54, the nays are 0. This bill having received requisite constitutional majority is therefore adopted. Secretary will read House Bill 555.
House Bill 555 by Representatives Chandler of the 105th and others, a bill to be entitled an action amend Title 15 of the OCGA relating to court so as to provide for the reporting of certain statistics regarding juveniles seeking abortions without parental notice, to amend Article 5 of Chapter 12 of Title 16 of the OCGA relating to abortion so as to make reporting requirements applicable to all abortions performed, to amend Chapter 9A of Title 31 of the OCGA relating to the Women's Right to Know Act so as to make reporting requirements applicable to all abortions performed, to amend Part 1 of Article 1 of Chapter 18 of Title 45 of the OCGA relating to state employees' health insurance plan and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Health and Human Services recommends that this bill do pass by substitute, respectfully submitted by Senator Unterman of the 45th. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Health and Human Services offers the following substitute to House Bill 555, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 15 of the OCGA relating to courts so as to provide for the reporting of certain statistics regarding juveniles seeking abortions without parental notice, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes.
Read the whole thing. Senator Custer and others follow the amendment.
Mr. President, Senators Cowser to the 46th and others offer the following amendment number 1 to the Senate Committee substitute to House Bill 555 by inserting immediately before the words "to provide for related matters" on line 3 the following: to amend Code Section 31-9A-6 of the OCGA relating to abortion reporting requirements so as to change certain provisions relating to forms by inserting immediately before Section 2 the following: Section 1B, Code Section 31-9A-6 of the OCGA relating to abortion reporting requirements is amended by revising the introductory language of subsection A as follows: the Department of Public Health shall prepare a reporting form for physicians who perform abortions, which shall contain a reprint of this chapter and shall require the following information. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 14th. Present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, I bring before you House Bill 555. See, as a state, we're required to provide statistical information on a number of medical procedures and court proceedings in Georgia. This is exactly what House Bill 555 is all about. You see, we already have in law and statute Georgia women's right to know and informed consent. This bill simply states that we'll take the number of abortions that take place from a minor, and we're going to report that up so that we have some accountability. That's all it does. We already currently have in law the informed consent. This is just the reporting piece of that. It's not reporting any names, just the numbers. We also have a friendly amendment that I do support. The friendly amendment says the current statute only requires doctors to report giving the informed consent process if the abortion occurs in a licensed abortion facility. Department of Health takes the position that there are only 4 to 5 actual licensed abortion facilities in Georgia. However, whether checking by the internet research or reference to the Guttmeyer Institute, there are actually 10 to 12 abortion providers or entities that advertise them as abortion providers. This does not even include the doctors who also perform abortions or don't advertise. According to the Department of Health, there's some 27,000 abortions in Georgia in 2013. However, the 2013 Woman's Right to Know report, as issued by the Department of Health, shows only 13,298 women got the information 24 hours prior. This amendment would simply be transparent and provide unilateral reporting across the board. Mr. President, if there are no questions, I'll yield the well.
You do have a question, Senator. Chair recognizes Senator from 36 for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator, you.
I do.
Senator, would you explain to us why this amendment is needed that you just presented, Amendment 1?
Yes, Senator, I think that it's good policy for our state to be able to provide as much information as possible to the women that make these difficult choices. All this amendment does is just says, across the board, the state would like to know, because we do provide resources, to be able to see how many abortions actually take place. It's just transparency is all it is. I think transparency is good policy.
And why is it that this is singled out? Should we ask doctors to report their procedures on vasectomies as well, so that the women will know what the men are doing and their personal health decisions? Would that be appropriate?
That would be a decision at a different time.
I would imagine, wouldn't you, that it would be viewed as a very much an invasion of patients' privacy were we to ask doctors to report vasectomies?
Senator, I respectfully disagree in that all we're doing is asking for a number to report, not the actual person or privacy.
Senator, further yield?
I will.
Isn't it true that this vastly broadens the current language? Because current language refers to health facilities licensed as an abortion facility by the Community Health Department. This now applies to every doctor in the state who, that would perform an abortion, regardless of whether it's in a licensed facility?
I don't know if it broadens, but what it's asking is reporting for anyone that provides an abortion in our state.
And isn't it true that the original intent of this bill was very narrow, to be sure that dealing with the court proceedings around minors petitioning for this procedure without parental notification? Because often is it not the case that an unintended pregnancy in a minor may have occurred in the home setting with an abusive relative, stepfather, et cetera, and it would be a dangerous situation for the minor to have that reported to a parent? Isn't that the original intent of this section?
I'll be honest with you, Senator, I didn't actually initiate this legislation, so I really can't speak to what the original intent was.
Well, just further, thank you for entertaining the questions. I'll ask one finally. Is there going to come a time when women can finally have some privacy and have their constitutional right to make their reproductive health decisions between them and their doctor, as opposed to with politicians passing bills every other time you
Senator,
look
if your question is there going to be a time in the future? I can't foretell the future, but I can tell you right now this has nothing to do with privacy. All it is reporting the numbers so we could have good policy to be able to see whether the policies we have in place make good sense or whether they need to be adjusted.
Thank you for entertaining my inquiry.
Thank you, Senator.
Chair recognizes Senator from 38 for a question.
Will the senator yield?
I will.
In your explanation to the senator from the 36, you said the reason for this amendment was to give the person give him more information that's seeking a procedure. I'm confused as how getting a number on a report is helping a person who is seeking a procedure. How is that going to help that person make a decision?
And Senator, I may have been misunderstood. The reality is we need the numbers that need to be reported so that we can take a good, healthy look at whether or not sex ed and other education is being provided. Right now, you have certain facilities that are required to report All this does is any abortion provider would report those numbers up. So we're just trying to take a holistic approach to see how many procedures are taking place in this state.
Will the senator further yield?
I will.
So you're saying that the information is going to be used to make a determination on what type of curriculum we might need to have at treatment centers or in our schools to better help. That's how it's going to better help individuals.
Well, Senator, I think we all agree that knowledge is power. I can't tell you exactly how it'd be used, but I think healthy knowledge of what's actually happening in our state as it pertains to numbers is good policy.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 45th for a question.
Would the senator yield, please?
I will.
Senator, you've heard the old adage, making a mountain out of a molehill.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it not true that this is a very simple bill that is reporting only, and even the information that is gathered, there's no names even used in the information, it's just data, to find out what is actually going on in the state of Georgia? Is that not true?
That's true, Senator.
Chair recognizes Senator 29th for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the senator yield?
I will.
Senator, is it not true that there is a facility in Columbus, Georgia, styling itself as a private medical office where abortions are being conducted?
Sounds the senator knows what he speaks.
And is it not true that this amendment would capture data about abortions being conducted at that facility that current law does not even allow there to be a count of now?
That's correct, Senator.
And isn't not true, Senator, that in order to make good public policy, we need reliable data which we can make our decisions on?
That is correct, Senator.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator 39th for a question.
Will the senator yield?
I will.
Are you familiar with the phrase slippery slope?
I am, Senator.
No further questions, Senator.
I appreciate your prayerful consideration.
Chair, Senator from the 46th, you wish to speak to the amendment? You wish to speak to the amendment? No. Chair recognizes Senator from the 36th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I rise to speak against this effort that is before us, House Bill 555. It's sometimes difficult to really, in questioning the author from the well or the presenter from the well, to clearly delineate the concern. The original underlying bill would create a procedure where courts granting minors the privacy and authorizing an abortion without parental notification. This bill would call for extensive capture of the number of applicants requesting this consideration, the steps that the judge takes in either denying an order, granting the order, appeals that are filed by that very unfortunate minor who has sustained an unintended pregnancy and is seeking relief from the court that was put in Georgia law in years past for a reason. We have minor girls impregnated against their will by an abusive adult, oftentimes within the home or visiting the home, even with the tacit approval of people in that home who should be protecting that young child, a minor female. And in that very desperate situation, when a pregnancy results from that sexual abuse of a minor, and that abuser is going undetected, beneath the radar, I would far, far rather see us be addressing legislation and policy that would uncover more of that sexual abuse in troubled home and family situations. That, to me, is the place that you stop unintended pregnancies of minors that have been abused in their family setting, their dysfunctional family setting. But instead, we have a bill that actually, I think, just beneath the surface, puts judges on notice. Just be careful how many of these you're granting. We're collecting the numbers. We're going to know what you did. We're going to peep beneath the covers, if you will. We're going to put judges on notice that maybe they ought to think twice before they offer the protection of the court to that minor that's been impregnated by an abuser. Maybe we better have a chilling effect on our judiciary. Tie their hands behind their backs. Make them think twice. When anybody that thinks twice understands how these young women were impregnated in their family situation, they're unprotected minors. And there's nobody in their home protecting them. They could be in a foster care situation for that matter. Some pretty dreadful things have happened according to the first-hand testimony of children that have passed through foster systems. And I'm not castigating our foster system. We just all know that across the country there are oftentimes deep compromised problems with people that are acting as fosters for young unprotected children. So I find this very disturbing in terms of the chilling effect that it has on the judiciary and their ability to make impartial, judicious rulings on granting a minor the protection of the court to not have to have an abusive parent know about the fact that the child's been impregnated and is seeking an abortion. Now, I'm not particularly interested in letting that sexual abuser know that that child has found some surcease somewhere, some protection somewhere under the laws of Georgia. I'd just as soon, and that's the intent of the original law, keep that from an abusive parental figure. And then we go and make the bill broader with the CalCert amendment that's going to require broader reporting from physicians. I'll tell you the truth, it really would be interesting to get vasectomy numbers from the doctors. Let's put them to work doing that because they're so well compensated and have so much time on their hands in the current climate of the health care that we have in this state. So it's deeply troubling. And when we ask what's actually going on in the state of Georgia, what's actually going on in the state of Georgia is that we underfund sex education. That's what's actually going on. We have people that have no access to health care insurance. We have problems on investing in preventive measures. We have huge needs on child development, youth development programs funding, where young people have alternatives and ways to get on a pathway to success rather than on a pathway to teen motherhood, unintended pregnancies. We have plenty of opportunities out there to invest in ways to protect our young children, protect our young women. We have to have teenagers get good sex education, good solid sex education, and have other choices in their lives besides unprotected sex outside of marriage. That's where we really could profit as a society and as a state and change our numbers. Half the pregnancies that occur each year are unintended pregnancies. And quite frankly, we've been very busy in this state for a good dozen years in doing everything we can to shut down women's access to the decision, a very basic personal decision about what they're going to do in the face of an unintended pregnancy. And it's a right that's guaranteed by the Supreme Court, but the anti-choice people have rolled up their sleeves and gotten busy across the country finding every way they can to close off women's access to abortions. Make them come back, make them do a 48-hour wait, make them look at an ultrasound, make the doctor do this. I mean, we could go on for half a day in the well, and I will spare you on all the impediments that have been placed between women and their doctor and their right to make a choice, a private constitutional right to privacy, make a choice in their life about what they're going to do in the face of this very, very difficult and challenging decision that countless women face. And you know, if we stand silent and let these legislatures, particularly across the South, particularly here in Georgia, continue to nibble away at women's right to access a full range of reproductive services without interference from politicians. Any good libertarian understands that. You don't want politicians interfering in health choices. Would you? Surely not. But as we continue to chip away and create barriers and close down clinics, and you know, in Texas, at a great big state like that, there are whole swaths of that state that are where the provision of the health services, full reproductive health services for women, are not available now, thanks to what the legislature's done. It's before the Supreme Court. It's a strategy. And let me say to you, people who really have a heart for women and want to see women have good health services, do you understand what happens when you close off access to abortion services? This is a slippery slope. You heard the senator from the 39th reference. You're on the slippery slope of sliding down to that posture where fewer and fewer people have that access and have that choice. And do you know what you'll get then? Then you get the backroom abortionist, back in business, the back alley abortionist. A woman that's desperate to have an abortion and cannot obtain it legally, there'll be an underground. They'll obtain an illegal abortion. There'll be all sorts of potential damages. You know, I mean these women that in times past they presented at Grady Hospital and bled to death from an illegal abortion, or maybe a week after that illegal abortion, it was an infection that took their life if they weren't hemorrhaging. This happened. This is the real world. This is what happens when you create barriers to seeking abortion services. The abortions continue, but they continue in nasty, unsafe, dangerous situations where desperate women are compelled to throw themselves on the mercy of a back alley abortionist. Speaker Tom Murphy said to me and to anybody that would listen, and he said it publicly, he had seen too much of the damage that's done when you do not have legal, safe abortion available. He's seen the kitchen table abortions, the back alley abortions that bring women to the hospital, if they even get to the hospital, before dying at the hands of a butcher. And so that, like it or not, that's the real world. And as you take step after step after step after step, because you don't believe in abortion. If you don't believe in abortion, don't have one. It's a personal, deeply personal choice. But as we continue to take step after step, and this bill is one more inch along the way, chilling the authority of judges to make decisions on granting a minor the privacy to not have a parental notification done. As we take those steps one after another, we're moving towards the day when women are forced again to seek back alley abortions from butchers and die at the hands of these illegal practices by people who are not conducting a legal business. So that's what's on my heart and on my mind as I take my seat, to say to you, it's very clear. We know what's going on. We know what's going on. This is not a simple little, let's collect some numbers. This is another step to making a safe and legal abortion harder and harder to obtain, and thereby fueling the illegal abortion industry. Thank you.
The senator has yielded. You wish to speak? Chair recognizes Senator from 29th.
Just a couple of quick points. There's nothing in this bill that increases or makes more onerous the reporting requirements. All it does is it ensures that the reporting that is done is accurate so that we have an accurate count. And let me say that I share the senator from the 36th concern about abortions being performed in unsafe, unsanitary environments, like the Women's Health Organization in Columbus, Georgia, which is a private medical office, which has no oversight by the Department of Community Health, no local oversight. As far as I know, there's been no regulator that's ever seen the inside of that building. But I sure would like to know how many abortions are being conducted there, so that we know how many women are being exposed to dangerous and unsafe conditions. We know because we've heard from women who've been inside the facility about mold, about unsanitary practices, about people being put at risk, their lives being put at risk. And we should at least know how many of these procedures are being conducted down there. I don't understand why anybody would be against legislation that just gives us access to quality information so that we can make a smart public policy decision down the road. That's all this bill does. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
Questions on the adoption of the floor amendment authored by the senator from the 46th. Is there objection? There is objection? No, there is. There is objection. There is objection. All those in favor of amendment number 1, rise, stand to be counted. Amendment number 1. Reverse. On the adoption of the floor amendment authored by the senator from the 46th, the yeas are 31, the nays are 17, and the floor amendment has been adopted. Now the question is on the adoption of the committee substitute as amended. Is there objection? Without objection, the committee substitute as amended is adopted. Now, does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection to agree on a report of committee which fail to pass the bill? Chair is none. Report of committee is agreed to. Shall the main question be now put? Are there any objections? Chair is none. Main question is ordered. Shall this bill now pass? Questions on the pass of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed, no. Secretary, unlock the machine. Shut up. Let me have the Senate's attention. The President Pro Tem of this great body has been so gracious to arrange a very special lunch for all the senators in the anteroom. Please give the President Pro Tem a great round of applause for never letting us go hungry. Always taking good care of us. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 37, the nays are 17. This bill, AMC Rex Constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Secretary will read House Bill 965.
House Bill 965 by Representatives Chokus of the 138th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 24 of Title 33 of the OCGA relating to general insurance provisions so as to provide that no health benefit plan shall require an insured to fail to successfully respond to a drug or drugs for stage 4 advanced metastatic cancer prior to the approval of a drug prescribed by his or her physician, to provide for definitions, to provide for a short title, to provide for legislative findings and intent, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Insurance and Labor recommends that this bill do pass, respectfully submitted by Senator Bethel of the 54th. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes distinguished Insurance Committee Chairman, Senator from the 54th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, I bring to you House Bill 965. Stage 4 advanced metastatic cancer. Each of us has some connection and some name that jumps to mind when we think about the news the cancer has metastasized. It has spread from its original location. And for you, that name may be personal, it may be family, it may be a friend, but it is a reality that has faced all Georgians. And so House Bill 965 is designed to do one thing. It is designed to provide that when you get that news, when the news is that it is advanced stage 4 metastatic cancer, that your doctor and you decide what the next step is without interference from your insurance company. So this precludes insurers from including a failure step, so that if it is a covered medication, if it is a covered treatment or therapy under your insurance plan, they cannot require you to try something in the intermediate step and have it fail before you can get to the benefit which you are paying for. It is straightforward. It is designed to try and provide hope to those in desperate situations. I would ask for your favorable consideration, Mr. President. I would yield for questions if there are none. I would yield the well.
No questions, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection? Agree on the Report of Committee which fail pass the bill? Chair is none. Report of Committee is agreed to. Shall the main question be now put? Are there any objections? Chair is none. Main question is ordered. Shall this bill now pass? Question on the passed bill. All those in favor of the bill vote aye. Those opposed no. Secretary, like the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 53, the nays are 1, and this bill, AMC Rex Constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Chair recognizes Secretary will read House Bill 887.
House Bill 887 by Representatives F. Stratton of the 104th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Articles 3 and 4 of Chapter 11 of Title 15 of the OCGA relating to dependency proceedings and termination of parental rights, respectively, so as to prioritize the placement of a child with a relative who is an adult or fictive kin when such individual is qualified to care for such child and it is in the best interest of the child to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Health and Human Services recommends that this bill do pass by substitute, respectfully submitted by Senator Unterman of the 45th. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Health and Human Services offers the following substitute to House Bill 887, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 9 of Title 19 of the OCGA relating to child custody proceedings so as to provide for the creation, authorization, procedure, revocation, termination of a power of attorney from a parent, guardian, or legal custodian of a child to a kinship caregiver for the temporary delegation of certain power and authority for the care and custody of a child and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 45th present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, members of the Senate. It's my pleasure to bring before you House Bill 887. It's done by the representative from my particular district. He's done a very good job of it. And it ensures that placement priority is given to relatives and close family friends over non-related caregivers. This is children who unfortunately become involved in extenuating circumstances. Oftentimes, if you don't do anything about it, they go into the foster care system. This is pre-at-risk children that we're trying to take care of. And along with it is our Senate Bill 3, which has been a priority of the Senate. That bill is currently being held in the House in the Judiciary Committee. We have, I hope, before the final full committee this afternoon, we'll have the Senate Bill 3. And as you know, that particular bill gives the power of attorney to someone who is interested in the child. It has been very, very complicated. We've already had many hours of hearings in the House and in the Senate. So I look forward to continuing to work on this bill. This particular bill, Senate Bill 3, has been attached to several other bills. In the last few days of the sessions, you're repeatedly going to see this bill because it has been a priority of the Senate. I'll be glad to answer any questions or I'll yield the well. There's no questions, I yield the well. Thank you very much.
Questions on the adoption of the committee substitute is the objection. Without objection, committee substitute is adopted. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is the objection? Agree to report of committee which failed to pass the bill. Chairs none. Report of committee is agreed to. All those in favor of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed, no. Secretary unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 54, the nays are 0. This bill, amnesty records constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Secretary will read House Bill 421.
House Bill 421 by Representatives Nimmer of the 178th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 47-2-221 of the OCGA relating to disability allowances payable to personnel for certain disabilities arising in the line of duty, so as to provide that community supervision officers employed by the Department of Community Supervision shall be entitled to certain disability benefits, to provide conditions for an effective date and automatic repeal, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Public Safety recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted by Senator Harper the 7th. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 18th to present the bill.
Good afternoon, Senators. Oftentimes you hear about a little cleanup bill heading our way, and this is just that. This House Bill 421 transfers responsibility for disability benefits to the Department of Community Supervision, DCS, from the Department of Corrections and the State Board of Pardons and Paroles for personnel who have moved to the DCS last year following the creation of House Bill 310 that we passed. This Bill 421 is necessary as a housekeeping measure to ensure that those officers remain entitled to disability benefits. It did not add additional costs to the retirement system and does not, nor did it reduce the availability of disability benefits for any person affected by the bill. Simply put, HB 421 entitles community supervision officers employed by the Department of Community Supervision to receive enhanced disability benefits if they become permanently disabled. In addition to that, there is no fiscal impact on the state. There's no change in benefits. And so I offer this to you for your consideration.
Thank you, Senator. No questions whatsoever.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Is there, does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection? Agree in the Report of Committee which favor pass the bill. Chairs none. Report of Committee is agreed to. Shall the main question be now put? Are there any objections? Chairs none. Main question is ordered. All those in favor of the bill vote aye. Those opposed no. Secretary unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 52, the nays are 0, and this bill I see records constitutional majority. Secretary will read House Bill A 508.
House Bill 508 by Representatives Fleming of the 121st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 47-2-244 of the OCGA relating to optional benefits available to appellate court judges, notice of election of benefits, eligibility for benefits, disability benefits, and survivor benefits, so as to decrease the age of eligibility for certain benefits, provide conditions for an effective date and automatic repeal, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Retirement recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted by Senator Huffstadler, 52nd. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 8th.
Mr. President, I move that House Bill 508 be laid on the table.
508 being laid on the table. Is there objection? Without objection, the bill will be laid on the table. Secretary will read House Bill 509.
House Bill 509 by Representatives Petrea of the 166th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 7 of Title 31 of the OCGA relating to healthcare facilities so as to implement initiatives to improve quality and delivery of patient-centered and family-focused palliative care in the state, to provide for legislative intent, to provide for definitions, to create the Georgia Palliative Care and Quality of Life Advisory Council, to establish a statewide palliative care consumer and professional information and education program, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Health and Human Services recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted by Senator Unterman of the 45th. Mr. President, the Senate Health and Human Services Committee offers the following substitute to House Bill 509, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 7 of Title 31 of the OCG relating to healthcare facilities so as to implement initiatives to improve quality and delivery of patient-centered and family-focused palliative care in the state, to provide for legislative findings, provide for definitions to create the Georgia Palliative Care and Quality of Life Advisory Council, to establish a statewide palliative care consumer and professional information education program, to provide for related matters, to appeal convicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 1st to present the bill. Senator from the 1st was supposed to present the bill. Huh. Senator from the 1st is not present, so we will expel him from the Senate for the rest of the session. Let the word go forth. Chair recognizes Senator from the 11th to present the bill on the expelled senator's behalf.
Thank you, Mr. President. House Bill 509 develops a palliative care and quality of life advisory council. It names the members of that council, and it supports the need for increased support of the patients in our state who need palliative services. Mr. President, if there are no questions, I'll yield the way. I'll ask for your support of House Bill 509.
No questions. All right. Questions on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection? Without objection, committee substitute is adopted. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection? Agreed and reported committee. Which fail pass the bill. Chair is none. Reported committee is agreed to. Shall the main question be now put? Are the objections? Chair is none. Main question is ordered. Shall this bill now pass? Question on the pass the bill. All those in favor of the bill vote aye. Those opposed no. Secretary, unlock the machine. We will we'll waive the rule on eating lunches in the chamber since we are working through an extended period of time. On the pass the bill, the yeas are 46, the nays are 7. This bill absolutely records constitutional majority is therefore adopted. Secretary will read House Bill 635.
House Bill 635 by Representative Epps of the 144th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 11 of Title 47 of the OCGA relating to judges of the probate court's retirement fund so as to increase the number of years of mandatory contribution to such fund, to increase the maximum number of years used to calculate benefits, to provide for certain credible services, to provide for application and payment of funds, to provide conditions for an effective date and automatic repeal, to repeal convicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Retirement recommends that this bill do pass. Back to be submitted by Senator Hufstetler, the 52nd. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 8th present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Bringing forth House Bill 635, which is a bill for the probate judges. It increases the time that they can contribute to their retirement system for 20 years to up to 30 years. It allows those that are already in it to be able to buy back the additional time. They can buy it back at full actuarial cost. This is a bill that does not cost the state any money. Their retirement fund is funded through fees and that are deducted from the fines and forfeitures that they deal with. Their retirement fund is in excellent financial shape. So if there are any questions, I would entertain those. If not, I ask for your favorable consideration.
There are no questions, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? All those in favor of the bill vote aye. Those opposed, no. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 52, the nays are 0. This bill, MC Records constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Secretary will read House Bill 676.
House Bill 676 by Representative Brockway of the 102nd, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 29 of Title 50 of the OCG or Land Information Technology so as to provide for the submission of business cases in certain circumstances, to provide for change management requirements for certain projects, to provide for legislative intent and findings, to provide a short title, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Science and Technology recommends that this bill do pass by substitute, respectfully submitted by Senator Kennedy of the 18th. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Science and Technology offers the following substitute to House Bill 676, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 29 of Title 50 of the OCG relating to information technology so as to provide for the submission of business cases in certain circumstances, to provide for change management requirements for certain projects, to provide for legislative intent and findings, to provide for a short title, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair can I, Senator the Ninth, present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Never presented a bill during lunch, while I was eating lunch, so this will be interesting. This is HB 676, which sets up a requirement that the state agencies, when making major technological investments, they must submit a written business case explaining the purchase to the Georgia Technology Authority. The business case should include the following information: a description of the need of purchase, project's budget, a list of alternatives, an outline of the benefits of the purchase, analysis of risk of not acting, and an assessment of what the improvement actually will accomplish. The GTA at that point must analyze the report along with the Department of Administrative Services, and they must report their findings to the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget. Additionally, Part 2 of this bill actually requires that the same agencies prepare a report when they're making a major renovation that changes the way that they do business, that costs more than $1 million, that involves 2 or more agencies, or that significantly changes their mode of operation. It's a slightly different report. It must include and show sponsors, impacted groups, the reasons for change and risks of change, and also the impact of the change. It also must have a work plan for the implementation of the change. This bill requires state agencies to thoroughly consider changes being considered. We should always be working to improve our operations. This bill encourages this change, but it also encourages us to be thoughtful in our action, encourages multiple points of view, and increases transparency in the process. I ask for your favorable consideration. If there are no questions, I'll yield the well.
There are no questions, Senator. Question on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection? Without objection, committee substitute is adopted. Now, does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection? Grant report of committee which failed pass the bill. Chairs none. Report of committee is agreed to. Shall the main question be now put? Are there any objections? Chairs none. Main question is ordered. All those in favor of the bill vote aye. Those no. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 54, the nays are 0. This bill, having received records of constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Secretary will read House Bill 747.
House Bill 747 by Representative Rogers of the 10th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 40-1-8 of the OCGA relating to safe operation of motor carriers and commercial motor vehicles so as to update the reference date to federal regulations regarding the safe operation of motor carriers and commercial motor vehicles, provide for related matters, repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Public Safety recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted by Senator Harper of the 7th. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 7th. Present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. House Bill 747 is the annual motor carrier update bill. Changes one thing, 2015 to 2016. If there are no questions, Mr. President, I yield the well.
No questions. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection? Grant report of committee which failed pass the bill. Chairs none. Report of committee is agreed to. Shall the main question be now put? Are there any objections? Chairs none. Main question is ordered. Shall this bill now pass? Question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed, no. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 52 and the notable noes are 1. All those in favor. And having received records of constitutional majority is therefore adopted. Chair recognizes the majority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Tuesday, March the 15th.
Read the announcements.
Rules will be held upon adjournment in 450 Capitol. Special Judiciary has been canceled. Regulated Industries and Utilities will be at 2 p.m. and 310 CLOB. Agriculture and Consumer Affairs will be at 2 p.m. and 125 Capitol. Public Safety will be at 3 p.m. and 310 CLOB. Insurance and Labor at 3 p.m. and 450 Capitol. Education and Youth at 3 p.m. and 307 CLOB. Economic Development and Tourism has been canceled. Government Oversight at 4 p.m. and 125 Capitol. Science and Technology at 4 p.m. and 310 CLOB. Health and Human Services at 4 p.m. and 450 Veterans, Military, and Homeland Security at 4 p.m. and 125 Capitol. Judiciary, Non-Civil at 5 p.m. and 307 CLOB. Finance at 5 p.m. in the MES, and Judiciary at 6 p.m. and 307 CLOB. Mr. President, that completes the announcements.
Any other announcements? Please remember, make every effort to be at all these committees. We have a lot of House bills coming over, and trust me, after you look at them, you will know that all of them need to be perfected. So please be in attendance in your committee meetings. The majority leader has moved that the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Tuesday, March the 15th, 2016. All those in favor will say aye. All those opposed, no. Ooh, the ayes clearly have it. We stand adjourned.